It's okay for me. You can record. Yeah, surely.
Okay. Thank you. So we are recording, and thank you for accepting to do that. Yes, we can record. Okay, so we have our first question here. What is resource mobilization? When you hear resource mobilization, what does this mean to you? How have you defined it in the past, or even in the present, or even in the future? Any chats coming in? Anyone who wants to unmute and answer for us? Yes, Alex, I can see your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Okay, for me, I defined it locally and in my own simple sense.
Yes.
Is really looking for money to be able to do my own work, which I am passionate about. So that money can come in form of human resource, can come in form of gifts in kind, can come, but basically looking for something to help my work. That's how I defined it in my local sense.
I like. So now who is going to define for us in the international sense? Interesting. Vale Network. Yes, I can see your hand is up. Thank you, Alex. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Joanne. I think when you speak of resource mobilization, it's just aligning getting the right people who are going to do the activity, and maybe getting the other resources like money to do the desired activity.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for those definitions. And let's see what it is here. And there's something disorganizing me here. Okay, that looks better when everything goes up there. Yeah, so resource mobilization is a process of getting resources from those who have the resource providers and using the different mechanisms that can exist to implement your predetermined goals. So Alex was saying what he's passionate about, and later we are going to see it's going to be about the cause and why we are doing all the good work that we are doing. So it's just that process where you look for those who have money, and then you find out how they want to give that money. It may be money, and I like the idea that you bring the in-kind. So when you're mobilizing resources, it's not just about money. Sometimes it could be time that you're mobilizing. Sometimes it could be equipment. Sometimes it could be volunteer time. So there are different resources that you can actually mobilize. So, and we just need to know if this is the resource provider whom I want to mobilize resources from, what kind of resources do they actually give? So that when I'm asking them for the resources, I'm asking them for the resources that they actually provide. And generally to be able to do what is beneficial for me. I always like to share these global goals. Why I like to do that is because many of the resource providers, and we can name it, some like to be called donors, others partners, others funders, others sponsors, whatever name they like to be called, many times they are aligned to these global goals. So even when you do the different works that you do, like Alex, you said what you are passionate about, but you need to lift what you're passionate about into something that appeals to the funder. So if the funder say works in education, then you're asking for projects that are related to education. If they're in gender, then it's gender. Whatever, if it's poverty, then it's poverty. So this is an intersection where you can meet the resource providers, because one way or the other, they are trying to contribute to this sustainable development goals. So let's look even when we look at our little projects, one way or the other, they are contributing to this, and we should be able to articulately say the work that we do, which goal, which sustainable development goal does it contribute towards, so that we lift up our projects and then we can meet the funders where they like to be. Okay, so that was with resource mobilization. We have another question here. The other one we are mobilizing, but what is a proposal? What is a proposal? And let's just use this. Yes, use the analogy of marriage. So I've just put here a ring. I think some other people can use different things. They may not use rings. They may use some other, maybe inscription and things like that. So let us look at a proposal in a sense of marriage. What does that mean? So if you're making a proposal, if you have ever proposed or been proposed to, what was it? What was your experience? Anyone willing to share? Those who proposed and those who are proposed to, or those who are preparing. Yeah, let's have your experience. How did it go and how are you planning to do it? I'm expecting very many hands up now. Hello. Is there any hand up? Somebody? Hopefully we can share. Yes, we will share the recording, most likely maybe on our YouTube. It may be easier for us to do that. Yes. I can see a hand up here. This is Philip. This is Philip. And then we also have Mbale Network. Okay, let's have those. Philip, go first.
I think a proposal is when someone asks another one whether they can do something together and they give them reasons how they'll do it, like validation for why they should accept to work together. That's how I understand it. And I don't know the context of marriage because I'm not near that yet.
Oh, you're not yet there, but I hope you're planning and preparing because the thing is, when you propose, I think you're looking for a yes answer. So how are you going to get that yes? Yes, Mbale Network, let's hear from you.
Thank you, Joanne. I think when you're proposing one thing you put in mind is, do you understand the person? Like, are you willing to take up, like, to stay with this person, the commitment? Are you willing to handle those commitments together with them? And of course, when you're going to propose, you expect a yes, but I've seen in many cases where even you get a no and someone will give you reasons. Because of A, B, C, D, I can't take you on. But you should be ready to propose.
Thank you. So understanding, getting to know, also promising some commitment. Yes, I can see Mr. Luanga's Anne is up and also Alex. Yes, let's have those two and then we can move. I suspect there are so many people under Mr. Luanga's profile. Whoever is put up their hand, please feel free to share.
Okay, maybe before Mr. Luanga can share.
Okay.
In the book I have written about helping young people to choose spouses, I say that a proposal comes in after you have finished to do due diligence on the person, and now you are proposing a hand in marriage. In other words, you want to live with this person now because already you have done your research about that person, what they can offer you, how good they are, and you know that they can really give you very good things. And so now you propose and say, can we work together and stay together forever for this cause?
Wow, thank you, Alex, for sharing. You've even written a book. Please type in the chat about the title of that book and where people can access it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So it's about due diligence. Can you hear? You know, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Wanga, we can't hear you. So I don't know, but just maybe you can type. No, we are not able to hear. You're putting in the chat, but we are not able to hear. You could perhaps put in the chat. But yeah, so Alex has shared with us, even added in due diligence. Doing due diligence, that means you're going to check on different things. You're going to do research, like Mbale let us know. You're going to share the good things, the things that you're going to share, that you want to build on together, and then promising living forever and things like that. So yeah, so thank you. Let me just see if there's anything. A proposal is a request for something, yeah. So Alex has also typed there 7 steps to choose a soulmate and prepare for long-lasting marriage, okay. So yes, so those who are still in preparation, you can actually get that book. Can you unmute those who are not speaking now? Let's unmute so that we don't get echoes. So yeah, so it's a requisition, a request like we saw from the type from Luanga. And we have here a definition that says a funding proposal is used to request funds by providing a compelling case for the proposed project. So if you are requesting for money, it means you have to provide a compelling case. Without a compelling case, you'll not be able to convince anyone. Just like we took the analogy of marriage. You don't just propose to anyone you meet. You do some research, you find out what they like, you find out where can I do my proposal from in an environment where they're likely to say yes, and that's being meted by maybe the environment, the flowers, and whatever that you're preparing. This is also a similar thing that you need to do when you're doing a funding proposal, because you're also quoting a funder, and it's not only you who is writing these funding proposals. There are many more people who are writing. So what is that which is going to stand out so that your proposal is actually considered? And I just wanted us to have that insight so that we can relate it to our personal life, but also how we look out there for opportunities and for resources that we need from resource providers. And there are so many types of proposals that you can write, and we have listed about 4 here. There's the letter of inquiry, there's the letter of proposal, there's the concept note that we are covering today, and then there's the full proposal. If you're interested in the full proposal, there is a course, and we shall talk about it there. But in letter of inquiry, just like the name suggests, it's a letter. You inquire. So you write to a potential funder to say if they're interested or if they can fund the area in which you're working in. The caveat here is that don't ask for things which are on the website. First do research, and that's why we started saying, what do we need to do in order for us to propose? So let us research and make sure we are not asking things which are obvious. So if they are not obvious, then you can send in and ask. Instead of writing a full proposal or even a concept note when you're not even sure that that is what they can fund. And then the letter of proposal, just like also the word says, the other word is inquiry, so it's a short one. We are G4G, this is what we do. We are inquiring whether you fund this or whatever. This, we see that it's aligned to what you do as an institution, something simple. And then you send an email or you send whatever mode you're going to use and make that inquiry. While a letter of proposal, it's a bit lengthy, because the key thing is, yes, you're going to write with all the clear how you put in a letter, but of course these days we can also use email, but be a bit more formal here because you're writing a letter, and the key thing here is in what is in it for the other person. You know, people don't just give for something. Yes, people can give out of goodness, but many times the funders also have objectives that they want to meet. So even when you are asking for something, think about what do they want to achieve, and how am I helping them to achieve what they need to achieve, much as they're helping you to achieve the good projects that you're doing with the youth, with the women, with people living with HIV, with people with disabilities, all that. You want to contribute to your projects, but you also want to help the funders achieve their priorities, achieve the objectives. And so I just wanted to share with you this type so that you are aware of them and you start utilizing them. I wouldn't rush into writing a full proposal when I'm not sure whether the funder wants the full proposal and whether I'm not sure whether they're actually interested in funding the work that I am going to do. I would rather send an inquiry and check. I test the waters, or if they say, okay, I inquire and then they're like, okay, maybe send a concept note, then that's why we are here anyway, to study the concept note. So don't worry so much about that. So the concept note, Alex, is this an earlier one or is it a new one?
I think it's an earlier and sorry, I forgot to lower it.
No problem. So please feel free in the course of the training, let us ask questions, let us type. I'm going to try and multitask, read here and there. Alex has just put there his contacts for the book that he has written on relationships. So yeah, so let's go into the funding concept note, and we will straight away start with what is a concept note. And we have a few descriptors here. And we can say concept note is a careful thought of your idea or project. So you've carefully thought about what you intend to do for your community or for the people that you work with or the things that you care about. And you could also just say it's a brief outline of your project or a shorter version of your proposal. So what this means, therefore, that even when we have ideas, we can keep them safe in a concept note, ready to expand it to any direction that a potential service provider might want. So keeping your ideas in little concept notes, and like we're going to see how it is structured, what needs to be included, then when an opportunity comes for you to submit a full proposal, you can easily blow it up. But it's always very difficult to start from zero. So the idea of having a concept note for the different areas of work or different things that you want to do is a great thing to do. And besides, seen the funders also who just fund organization on the basis of a concept note without necessarily sending a full proposal. This is common with so you know the difference, they solicited, where the funders may put it in their newspaper, on their website, calling for request for proposal, expression of interest, or whatever announcements they make, but they make the announcement, so it's called solicited. But then there are those who don't announce, but they can actually be funding. Those rather more of relationships, you establish a relationship and they're like, oh, okay, yes, okay, send us a concept note. And you never know, they can actually fund you on the basis of a concept note. And that's why we say they are actually very important. I'm not going to ask you this question because I've already been telling you why they are important, and let's just go and look at why they are important. One of the things is that it helps you, like we have seen, check whether the funder is interested in what you're doing. So use it for check-in, or even to market your unique idea to a potential resource provider, or even interest somebody into funding the kind of work that you do. In demonstrating the importance of your work, like we say, we keep our little projects into, we write them into concept notes so that they're easy for us to expand or even to share the way they are, and we build from there. And from the donor's perspective or the funder's perspective, they can actually use it to sieve applications. So before they invite you to submit a full-blown proposal, they may ask you, send us a concept note. And then from there, then they say, okay, based on this concept notes that we have received, A, B, C, D, you can now submit a full proposal. So you can see that they use it for sieving at the first level. So it's very important because then it would save us time that we will putting a detailed proposal, and yet it's not something that the funder is interested in. So it is really a good initial step, and I would encourage all of us in our organization, the different projects, let's have concept notes about the different things that we do, so that when an opportunity comes, because I belong to the Maxwell leadership team, and we have every minute coaching with Maxwell, and this week we had a minute talking about opportunity. He said that when an opportunity strikes, it's already too late, because when an opportunity strikes, you're supposed to respond. So having a concept note will really help you to have that faster turnaround. Okay, I can see something coming in the chat. Okay, this is somebody writing his name. I do not know why. Says we can see your name, but I'm not sure what we are supposed to do with the name, but it's well. Okay. Okay, oh, to share the recording. Okay, fine. We'll do that. We'll do that. Any questions? Any questions? Please feel free to jump in anytime. And that's why I put these wonderful zebras. One of the passion I like is nature and adventure. So I love looking at the wild. And when you look at these zebras, what is unique about a zebra? The zebras. Does anyone know that? Let's go to nature. Yes, Dauda. Please. Yes, you can unmute and tell us.
Thank you, Joanne.
Yes.
I'm actually asking, I have a look. Okay, I was requesting that if you don't mind, I can have a look at the previous slide before the last one.
Oh.
Where the definition of the concept note is. Just as a simple glance.
Which one? This one here?
Thank you.
Okay. And please don't be under pressure. We are so much happy to share with you this slide.
The previous one.
Previous one. This one. So please don't worry about the slides so much because we are going to share them with you. So perhaps you want to take notes on what I may be speaking about and it's not in the slides, so that when you get the slides, you're able to just put things together. So thank you for asking about that. They have beautiful and attractive colors. That's what Philip is saying. Is there anything unique about them? Each individual has a unique stripe pattern. So you can imagine that while we see the zebras look alike, they are actually very unique. Each one has its own pattern, and you don't really find zebras which have the same. And you don't know in the wild that they actually use this stripe that look the same to confuse their prey, because the prey will think they're running after the same zebra, and yet it's another zebra already in the race and making the animal that may be looking after them, trying to catch them, get tired because they think they're chasing the same one, and yet they're just in a relay, and there are very many zebras taking round, and because they kind of look alike, the other animals will get confused. So why did I bring these zebras here? The thing is that I brought the zebras here to say that even when we are doing concept notes should not be the same. For each donor, you just get the same one and cut and paste and send to another one. No, every time we have to tailor. It may be you have the standard concept note that you have made, but always try to tailor to the needs of the funder. Remember, we said funders also want to meet certain needs. They want to meet certain priorities, certain objectives. How are you helping them to do that? So your concept note should be able to say, how is your work going to also help them address their needs? Yeah, and the tips here to pay attention to is to know who your donor is. They can be called donor, sponsor, funder, whatever they like to be called and whatever they like to achieve. You should know what they actually want, and that's why we started with that proposal. And I liked Alex's description of do a due diligence. So a due diligence is quite detailed. You're not just going to do things on the surface here, but you're going to dig deeper to find out what they actually like. So a bit of research. You need to do a bit of research so that you know what they want. And if they give you guidance, like some guidance to follow, please follow this format. You can, if you are into work that requires construction, for example, you can visit the Japanese embassy website. They normally fund projects which are construction related or innovation, and they even share the templates, not a very complicated template. They normally give funding twice a year. So you want to visit them and see, use their templates. They're even very nice. You can call in there and ask them questions, and somebody can answer for you if something is not clear. So it's always good to follow the donor guidance, including the templates that they have, they provide you, the forms, if they're available, and if they're not available, ask if it's allowed. Of course, if you are doing a competition and they say questions must come before 5 days, you must make sure that you ask questions within the window that is open, and if it's not allowed, please don't ask because you may be disqualified. And then the other one is you need to know your project very well. And that's why having a concept note will help you put your idea into a project, and that which will help you really understand your project well. I can see something in this chart. Okay, camouflage, yes, was about the zebra, camouflaging. Okay, so this is just again to emphasize the need to work your projects in the sweet spot. What do I mean by the sweet spot? We have communities for which we work, or if we are individuals, we are working for ourselves. But let's say we work for communities. Who is that? Somebody please mute so that we are attending to one speaker at a time. Okay, thank you. So let's say we really, all the work that we do, we want to make our communities better, our country, our wherever, our area, our villages or something. We're trying to really make things better for the people we live with or live for and things like that. So we have the community, let's say if there's, in the community, there's poverty, there's ill health, gender-based violence, unemployment. We want to know what are the needs of our community. And this is the circle that we present, say, our community. Then here for us as an organization, maybe Mbale, maybe C4G or Jenna, whatever work that you do, you're an organization here, you are trying to support this community, alleviate the poverty or make sure they have treatment or there's employment and things like that. So there are also priorities as an organization that you want to meet. So you are also here in your Venn diagram. The funder is also here. The funders, they have priorities. And at the beginning, that's why we introduced the Sustainable Development Goals, because we said many funders are aligned to or contribute in one way or the other to the Global Sustainable Goals. But let us also, through research, look at what are the funders' priorities, what are their goals, what are the objectives that they would like us to meet for them, even when they're giving us funding. Because when they give us funding, there's something they want in return. It's that, okay, physically we may think it's the report, but there's something that they also want to achieve. Maybe they have they are on a mission to support poverty reduction in a particular area, and through your work, you're going to help them do that. Then well and good. The thing is, all what we need to do is to be able to operate in the sweet spot, things that address the community, our organization, what we are mandated to do, or why we exist, and also the funders. I would, at this point, today I was reading a book from Simon Sinek, and I was so impressed by Apple. Apple, I hope everybody knows Apple, that company. Much as it's a company, but if you listen to the work that they do and why they exist, you'll be amazed. So if a company can write this, what about us, a not-for-profit? How should we be writing? How should we be presenting our work to those funders? So let's just listen to what Apple's reason for existing is. So this is how it says: everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. And we happen to make great computers. Wanna buy one? So you can really see that even Apple, a company that is set for profit, they have the rationale of helping people have computers that will serve the purpose. They are beautiful. They will help them. They start with the reason why. They challenge the status quo. They want to do things differently. So when you buy an Apple, you straight away feel, okay, we are in the different class. We are here to do things differently, to challenge the status quo. It's not business as usual and things like that. So now, if somebody, a profit company, can write such a thing for the reason for existing, what about us? It means, therefore, we also need to make sure that we are very clear about what we write. And another book I was reading is Dare to Lead, and it says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So sometimes we say, okay, am I being kind in the work that we do? So making sure we work in the sweet spot, and that we are working for the communities, we are working to serve the funders, and we are also working to meet our needs. Okay, what is coming through the chat? Go, hold your profile. When you hold, you will see two options, including, okay, okay, you're advising, okay, there are those, that's why we're saying, when you join with the same link, when we send you the Zoom link, everybody will come with the same name. But if you use the confirmation link, which was sent to you, it will bring you on the platform with your own. But then yeah, it's okay, you can go and change your name. Thank you, Philip, for that advice that you have provided. Please ask questions as we go along. Ask questions as we go along. Let's look at the structure. Let's look at the structure of a concept note. First and foremost, we need to have a title. And what kind of title? A title which speaks to what the project is about, and a title which is enticing a bit, like will make somebody say, hey, what is this about? Not just a blank thing. Okay, I like laughing sometimes at the academics, where things are just flat. You read it, right? And you're like, oh, you're doing this, but it doesn't appeal. Remember, donors are also people who you need to appeal to their emotions. So a short, brief title, but which speaks to what you intend to do, will be extremely helpful. And then you can have an introduction and a background. I think at this point, somebody could be saying, okay, this is the structure, but how many pages are we writing? Yeah, and this really depends. There are those who might ask you for a one-pager concept note. There are those who might ask you for 2 pages, 3 pages. I've also seen concept notes which go up to 20 pages. So it just means that the details, if more is required, then you're going to write much more. So let's not worry about how many pages, but rather about the content of what do we need to do, and make sure that we have the clear structure that we will use for our concept note. So the introduction, why is this project that you're writing about important? Background, where is it coming from? Where are you coming from? Maybe you have some statistics, because when you're writing something, yes, you might be an expert or an expert in that particular area, but it's not convincing for you to say this is the issue without anyone else, or without research, or without evidence that you produce. So this could be a great place for you to put the evidence that supports what you're trying to say, so that people can be what you're saying. Then the goal, what is the goal? What do you intend to achieve with this particular project? And after the goal, you have the objectives, clear objectives, and the objectives need to be SMART like we know it. So the objectives help us to achieve the goal that we intend to have. And it is only in proposal writing where you even have to anticipate the results. So this is what you are, if I quote in quotes in the business language, this is what you're selling. You're saying, if you give us money, or if you give us this, these are the results that we are promising you. So you have to anticipate the results, and that's why we have the expected results. And then sustainability, yes, people are going to give you money, or whatever they are going to give you, but people are not there to give you money forever. So how are you going to sustain this great work that you're doing? Remember, you've brought a service or a product or whatever you're doing to the community, and it may be something that is very good to the community. When this money is over from the funder, from the donor, how is this work going to continue? That's what you need to even think through before you write this concept note, before you write the proposal, so that there is a plan. Yes, the plan could be to continue fundraising so that you get more money to continue with the project, or to make sure that you empower the community to be able to do the work themselves, or maybe you want to partner with government if it's something to do with social services, where government perhaps can come in and also take up this, because you've been able to demonstrate that actually this works, and then they put it in their plan. And so you're not worried that, oh, now I need to continue looking for more money to put in here. So whenever we think about projects that we're going to do, and especially those that have the community as beneficiaries, we wouldn't like to start something that benefits the community, and when the funding is done, then the project ends. So sometimes it's an issue of reputation, like credibility. Why do we leave the community worse than we found them? Perhaps we should not have even done that project in the first place. If then you're going to give something, people are happy, and then when you withdraw, they become worse off. I like to give a story here, but I'm not going to share that for today. And I perhaps look at what is coming through the chat. Then you have a budget. So maybe you have a question. So a budget, now do you say detailed budget in a concept note? This depends. So if it's a 3-page concept note, that means you might have a paragraph on a budget, just highlighting the key cost drivers of your project. So if your project is, say, 100 million, what are the key costs in that 100 million? What are you going to use this 100 million? This is Uganda shillings. I'm just hoping there's nobody out there and is like, oh, what are these people talking about 100 million? This is Uganda shillings, not USD or any other currency, which may be stronger than the Ugandan currency. So yeah. So then, then you will have say the budget is 100 million, and the cost drivers or the key costs that we're going to have from for this project is A, B, C, D, depending on what your project is about. And then certainly the other key information, like who prepared this project, an alternative contact, because if they communicate to you and you're not, say, available, you should always have an alternative contact so that that information does not go unattended to. And then the organizational profile, if required. So if it's possible for you to submit your organizational profile, then it's good for you to also have that ready so that you can share. So generally, this is how a concept note is structured. You have a title there, you have an introduction, and you can expand this according to the number of pages that are required. So if you have a one-page concept note, it means, of course, the title is going to be one sentence, and the sentence, remember, good practice is that a sentence should not be more than 25 words. So if you have a sentence over 25 words, it's not very clear for people to read. It's readability, and you remember, you also need to think about who is reading on the other side. So if you put a very long sentence and then somebody gets zungululu, they become confused because they need to read no comma, no something. So also our writing actually matters when we are doing this. Then the introduction, I'm just talking about the one page. It means you might have about five or six or 7 sentences about the introduction. Then you have maybe a goal, a clear one goal. Maybe you have 3 objectives, like objective 1, objective 2, objective 3. So some sentences about the objectives. Then the expected results, you can align your expected results to the objectives so that you say objective 1, these are the results that we expect to receive. Objective 2, these are the results. And then sustainability, these are the things that we propose for sustainability. Then this is our budget. So you can really see that your one page is there. But then if it's 5 pages, that means you can expand, put a bit of more evidence, a bit of more information on say your introduction or background and every other section. Yeah, but then like I said, this is the structure, but many funders out there can actually give you the template or the format that you need to use. So if they do so, don't say, oh, we started when G4G and Magister was doing a training. This is what we are going to put there. Be flexible and accommodate that new suggestion, because people like to receive information according to what is easier for them to read or to actually process. Yeah, so let me go to the chat and see what is happening there. Interested in more trainings, feel free. Okay. Is there anything else, please? If there are any questions, if I just skip them or don't attend to them, somebody give me a shout so that we don't leave questions behind, but things like comments and things like that, it's well, you can just share the information. So yeah, so before we go to what to include in the concept note, let us also just do a quick poll and see how we are getting on. Let's see. This one was over. Stop sharing. And we are going to the next. Okay, so I just would like you to also tick what you think the problem of this environmental project is. Let me just launch that poll now. And here you have an option of ticking more than one. That should work. So if we are looking at, say, an environmental project, what would you think is the problem? Because this is going to help us already begin getting the feel of, are we clearly identifying the problem that we are dealing with when we are writing our concept notes, when we are writing the proposal, or are we just thinking about things that we think is good for the organization? Okay, can we do this? Are you able to see that poll? Can somebody give me a heads up? Let's see how we are doing. Some 2 minutes here. So let's try to do this and see. Environmental project, what is the problem? If you're working on an environmental encroachment project, what would you consider as the problem you are dealing with? Is it the displacement of groups outside the protected area? Is it loss of biodiversity? Is it the protected area community tensions? Or is it poor remuneration of the protected area staff? We have only 15 people. Can we reach at least half of this? We are 43. I'm seeing people, I think it must be internet, so people are on and off. So we sometimes go to 44, then we drop, and then some people come back in. So let us just do 20. We have some 2, 3 people. Can you cast your views there and we see? Can you participate with us? And we will have each person trying to say why they scored what they scored, and then we just have a brief discussion around that. Okay, we are 50%, at least over 50% of those who have responded. Is there anyone? Okay, take us to 60%. Who is taking us to 60%? One more person. Thank you. We are at 61 and we can end the poll. We are doing well. Let's end the poll and share. And share. Okay. So who would like to go faster? Now I'm sharing, but now how am I going to see whose hands are up? Now that is the challenge. Okay, please, I am not able to see whose hand is up, so I'm counting on you to unmute yourself and speak, or I will have to close this window and go to the chat and see what you have said. But let's have 4 people speak and feel free. I'm not going to say so and so because I'm not seeing who has put up their hand. Is anyone, Flugence, are you on to see, to tell me who has put up their hand? Or? Okay, she's not on. So feel free, who is taking us, who said, why did you say displacement? So we have 9 people who said displacement of groups outside the protected area. Why do you say so? Why do you say that is the problem of that environmental project? 9 people, where are you? Michael, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, John. Actually, I chose a displacement of people outside the protected area because I try to look at the major areas where environmental encroachment has occurred. You find that because of the pressure and the human settlement has to be there, people tend to venture into those areas that they think they are free. For example, government land, maybe for protected forests. You find that now people tend to leave the other areas and they tend to think that perhaps when they go in such areas, they can secure pieces. Thank you.
Okay, so okay, yeah, so that's why you say the displacement of groups of people outside the protected area. It's could be a reason why, it could be the problem. Yes, anyone else who said, I can see people said loss of biodiversity as the problem. Why do you say so? There's somebody, 11 of you said protected area community tension is the problem. Why do you say so? And 8 people also were saying poor remuneration. And I know you could have done a combination because it was really possible, but we want to hear your thoughts. Thank you, Michael. Who is next? By the way, when you raise up your hand, apparently I am able to see because I see some names appearing even here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Philip. Go ahead.
This is Raphael.
Yes,
yeah, I was saying I chose loss of diversity and protecting health area community tensions, those two. Loss of diversity because when maybe the ecosystem is affected, I think, and the maybe things that you are living freely are no longer able to live freely. It's an environmental problem. But then also protected area community tension. I think it also happens to be, according to me, an environmental problem because these tensions are as a result of what's happening within the environment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Raphael, for that. Philip, can we have you? You had put up your hand.
Oh, it's similar to Raphael because I will expect any environmental protection project to protect the environment, which means preserving biodiversity. So if you have loss of biodiversity, I think that is a very big problem on our side.
Okay, okay, okay. So any other comments before we can just go through each one of the points? Because why we asked this question is that we wanted to know whether in our projects, in the things that we're doing, whether we are actually speaking. Yes, Akram, please go ahead before we summarize this.
My thinking is to do with the poor remuneration of the staff who protect the area, because you want to deal with originality of the problem. The mere fact that the environment being encroached is maybe the staff there do not mind because they feel that maybe the government has neglected them. So they also they don't care about so much what they would do about it. And now to deal with that problem, because that is now originality of the problem of the encroachment, then we need to look at how they can be motivated in terms of maybe improving their remuneration.
Okay. Thank you so much. 2 hands are up now. Please, I'm not able to see. They came 2 hands at a go. Feel free to unmute and speak.
Okay, thank you. I'm just adding on what Akram has said. I think like one thing we need to identify is although these might be, all of them might be problems, but to some extent, I think some of them the effects of the other. So poor remuneration of the staff, I think, could be the biggest of the problem, because given the context in Uganda where you have seen people encroaching on the environment, and the staff are just quiet. Name is just quiet because maybe these are big people, so they can't be tampered with. So I think really this is something that should be maybe is the gist of why the encroachment is happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I like the 2 concepts. Oh, okay. Can we have one more person add to the discussion? And then we can close this. We have another example because it looks like the environment has attracted attention. We are going to look also at another one, a refugee one. So let's close this environment by having one person speak to this, and then feel free to also work on the next question, which is on refugees. And then then we can move ahead. Yes. Who is the final person making input to this?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is anyone talking.
No, you are the one speaking.
Okay, thank you. I chose protected area communication because I feel it's a problem. And if you see displacement of groups outside the protected area and poor remuneration of the protected area staff, they seem to be the causes of that problem. Then loss of diversity, it seems to be the outcome of the community tensions, protected area community tension. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So what we are learning from here, from these two, from this example is that there is the cause.
Hello?
Which, yeah. Yes, please.
Hello?
Please, we are hearing you.
Hello?
Yes. Okay.
Are you getting me, please?
Yes, we are. We are. Speak up and we are getting you.
Yeah, this is a Kaka, but when I log in, it is telling me Philip, but I normally see my name coming up #1 always in any Zoom.
Yeah, so
now,
you just need to rename.
I have this issue because I chose to say loss of diversity. The reason being, you know, I'm bringing it in one health approach.
Yes.
If the environment is affected, they affect human being, and when people deplete the environment, there might be the trees and they burn the grass and so forth. You will find the animal is affected. The milk will reduce, and others like maybe even the death of animals because they don't have feeds, they don't have water to take, and so forth. That is how I look at the loss of diversity.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much. With this example, we are trying to make sure that for our projects, we are actually looking at the root cause of the issues that we are dealing with. So for this environmental project, so I like the example, we're looking at the cause, and then there are some which are effects, like it's an effect of a certain cause. So if we just start from, I think those who spoke to the poor remuneration of the protected area staff are right, because if the people are not remunerated well, perhaps they will start encroaching on this environment themselves, because they need to survive. So if you don't address the poor remuneration, then we can have issues that are arising. Protected area community tensions. The community that cannot just have tensions without some underlying problem. So if you are talking about the problem, you find the community having tensions, you need to drill deep through asking yourself, why to the last why, which will help you get why the people are having tension. And then your project should be able to identify that why the tensions are there. So here I would say protected area community tensions may be an effect of some other problem that we need to identify, and our project should be doing that. When we go to loss of diversity, we also need to ask ourselves, why is there loss of diversity? What is happening? Oh, people are cutting the trees, and what? Why are they cutting the trees? Or you will go and drill down, or people have been displaced from a certain area because it has been protected, or the population has grown and things like that. Then we need to deal with those root causes which are causing the loss of biodiversity, and making sure that we deal with, say, it could actually be poverty, it could be a population explosion, that the area where they were now is not sufficient to help them. And then you look for strategies of, okay, how can we then make sure that we design projects, we design interventions that can help us, address the root cause. Because if we just see the effect, like loss of biodiversity or the protected area tensions, without us understanding why there are tensions, then still we shall have missed the root cause, and our projects will not be designed to meet the underlying facts. Okay, let's do so now, members, can we agree we were supposed to end at midday, but we started late because we got lost in a Google Meet and things like that? Do we agree to add some more time, or should we be summarizing? What are your thoughts? so that I know how much time I have with you and whether we should do the next one or not. What are we saying? Can we extend, say, about 15, 20 minutes from midday? Because we had 1 hour and a half. What are people saying? We can do another 30 minutes. Okay, so yeah, we need to complete. Yes, okay, thank you. So thank you for that consensus. Okay, okay, so we have looked at that, and now let's look at another poll. Another poll, and we will be looking at a refugee project again. Just share your thoughts. What do you think are the challenges are facing refugees in Uganda? What would you say are the challenges refugees face in Uganda? Are you able to see that? I'm not seeing feedback. And I know we are a country that hosts a lot of refugees and have a lot of work. So let us see, let's look at this problem that we have. Not only us, but the refugees when they come. Can we at least reach 50%? We are still far behind. Wow, I'm really sympathizing with those who have to, the internet must be a problem, on and off. Some few. Okay, some 3 people. Can we have some 3 people or 4 people so that we have 50 and above? Then we know at least half of the participants. We have been together. Yes, some 2 people. Okay, we have done 50, so that's well. Okay, 52. Okay, let's end the poll and share results. Another opportunity for us to discuss, what do you think are the challenges facing refugees in Uganda? Is it the high numbers of refugees fleeing into Uganda? Is it the hostile host communities? Is it high poverty rates in the host communities? Is it lack of proper laws and regulations to handle refugee matters? What do you think? So can we have 4 people just take us through, those who said high numbers, those who said hostile host communities? Why did you say so? Why do you say those are the challenges? Is it the poverty? Why do you say so? So who is telling us? Okay, so there are 2 hands up, but in the meantime, Philip had asked a question: how do you know whether an organization wants a proposal or not? The thing is that those who will advertise, so they will clearly say we advertise and we respond, say a request for proposals, but we also know there are some organizations that don't advertise, but they give money. So an inquiry can help you do that. Checking on their website can help you do that, to know, and then also checking the newspaper. Another good way for you to know is check people who do similar work, organizations that do similar work to you, and find out who their funders are, and check whether you have to submit a proposal or it's something that you can just apply. So you can look at people who are doing similar work and see who their funders are, and you visit the website. That's also an easy way for you to do that. Yeah, but back to the question poll here. Yes, there were 2 hands up. Please feel free to unmute and talk to us.
Hello, can I be heard?
Very well, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. My name is Amanda. I answered along the lines of hostile host communities. And the reason as to why that answer was because, yes, the laws may be the reason as to why they may affect every other thing, but refugees are directly affected, in my own opinion, by if the minute they run from wherever countries they come from, the first thing they encounter are those hostile host communities. So in my perspective, an immediate intervention would be to solve that problem, like even before we solve the question of whether the laws are because I see that the laws are something that can be pursued over time, but an immediate intervention would be to solve the issue of giving them up some kind of better refuge as opposed to those hostile host communities, because it's something that they encounter almost immediately. So I believe that it would be, the laws are a problem, but their most immediate problem is where to go the minute they run away. So that's why I chose that answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Who are you?
I'm called Amanda.
Amanda, thank you for sharing with us. Yes, other 3 people, we are having 4 people. I can see 4 hands up, so just unmute and talk.
Thank you, Joanne.
Yes. Did we lose you? We can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Joanne?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I choose the high number of refugees coming into the country because, over time, when we look at around Uganda and taking a good picture of the recent or the ongoing influx of refugees from Uganda, because every time refugees are coming in, it disorganizes the planning of planning for the refugee act. It disorganizes the budget to cater for the refugee issues. And then because there is high pressure, increasing number of refugees coming into the country, you find that those communities they get disgusted and they become hostile. You find that because of the increasing number, all these other issues will come in due to that. I think that is the little deliberation I can put.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. The 3rd person and 4th, please unmute and speak to us.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
This is Atwine.
Yes.
So I chose the option of laws being the fundamental problem I think that refugees face, because sort of everything is tied to the aspect of the laws that are in place. The communities that they come into, first of all, have a knowledge gap about the rights of these refugees. They see them as outsiders, so some of them look at them as illegal to be in their country. Number 2, the refugees also themselves feel like due to the knowledge gap on the laws that govern them, they feel unwelcome and they feel like they have no right. So in case of any challenges, they really have nothing to stand on that can sort of accommodate them in their society. So I feel like, every other option sort of falls under the aspect of the laws that are available to facilitate their entry and assimilation into these different communities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Atwine. Yes, who is the final person giving us feedback on this? Please unmute and speak to us. I can see if there are 3 participants whose hands are up. I can see Michael, I can see Philip, I can see Fatina. So Fatina, let's have you. I don't think you have spoken before, so let's have you. Can you unmute? You seem to be muted, so if you are speaking, we can't hear you yet. Okay.
They must have forgotten their hands.
If they forgot their hand up, okay. Let's have Philip or Michael. Or they were old hands.
Well, thank you. I'd forgotten my hand up, but as well, I can make a little contribution.
Okay.
I was trying to meditate upon Uganda's situation with the experience of the refugees, and I was also still trying to figure out a moment where Uganda or organizations dealing with the refugees in Uganda almost went bankrupt, or they did not have money to facilitate activities of refugees in Uganda because of the continuous influx that caused destabilization in the budget of the UNHCR and other organizations. I remember that time, most especially refugees that were affected, that were coming from South Sudan. That was a big problem by that time. And I'm trying to figure out, based on the polls that we have just taken, I was trying to look at the actual problem. What could be the actual problem?
Hello, we have lost you. We have lost you. You are telling us the actual problem, but then, Yes, please.
Joanne, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm now back. You know, network is disturbing us.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you speak to us because we have lost him.
Yeah.
So did you want to contribute to the call?
Thank you for this.
Mm-hmm.
My second time to attend contributing.
Okay.
So you've been already telling us to be specific with our problem. And the reason as to why I chose high poverty rates in the hostile communities. Joanne, are you listening?
Yes, yes.
Hello?
Yes, we are listening.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think she's not
The reason
hearing.
as to why I chose high.
Please speak, we are hearing. Just speak and we hear you.
To me, poverty is the root cause of everything. And poverty can lead to everything. So if poverty wasn't there, so we wouldn't have these refugees in the first place. To me, I see poverty as the problem here. So we have to track it down, the poverty problem, then we shall.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so we've lost, I think, again to internet, but I think she was giving us really a fundamental problem where she said it was high poverty rates in the host communities that were leading to all these problems. So if there was no poverty, perhaps the host communities would not be hostile, because then they have things that they can share with the host communities. High numbers of refugees would not be a problem because we have the budget, because there was that was another question, that budgets got finished because money was not now available to host these high numbers. If we had the budget and money, we wouldn't mind about the high numbers of people. If we say lack of laws and regulations, I think Uganda has one of the most progressive laws, so we may not say that is the problem actually facing refugees. Perhaps it's the lack of knowledge or the interpretation of that. So what we are again saying here is always to ask why. Is this really the cause? Is it the lack of laws, or the laws are there, but the problem is the understanding of the laws, the interpretation. Host communities, we have to find out why are the communities hostile. There must be a reason, and we address the reason why they're hostile as the problem that, or the challenges that the refugee are facing. And the high numbers, we don't really mind about numbers. If we had the means to host, if we have the means, I mean, even in homes, sometimes we don't welcome visitors, sometimes because we feel we don't have the means to host a certain number of visitors and things like that. But if we had the means, maybe we wouldn't mind. So it's just for us, it's just a reminder again for us to always look at the real cause of why these things are happening, and not just look in the surface. So thank you so much for those contributions that you have made. And I'm just trying to check in the chat if there's anything, high numbers, what, and things like that. Okay, so yeah, so we have gone through the structure, and we have also dwelt a bit more into the problem, and this is the question. And so we are now looking at what should we include in our concept notes. Of course, we have our project, so we have our idea. We saw the structure, would have a very good title for our project. We are very clear. We should always be clear about who our targets are, and we know the target is either people or things, and it is not us. We are all operating in the sweet spot. So what is our contribution? What is the community? What is the donor? So we need to be clear about our targets. Many times we confuse the targets to be us.
I have lost you.
Oh, so maybe it's your internet, but we are progressing.
What's the real problem here? Because I want to know the problem.
So the problem is what you said, high poverty levels. So you identified the right problem. Okay, so thank you for that. So we are looking at the target. We are looking at where they are found. So we also need to be specific where we are operating. We are not operating in the whole Uganda unless we have the means to do that. But we need to be clear about who our targets are and where they're located, and write this into our concept notes so that we are really coming from an informed position. We have looked at examples of identifying what the need and the problem is, and this is going to help us when we are looking at our projects again. And why does the problem exist? Because if you can identify why the problem exists, then you can have an intervention that can help you deal with that. And why is it important? And this is where you appeal to the emotions of those who are going to provide services. So if that's the direction that you want to go. So why should people care about refugees? So you need to appeal to why should people care about the high numbers of refugees coming to our host communities. Of course, everybody should be able to live in their countries safely, and governments catering for them and things like that. But there are circumstances which happen. It's not that the refugees want to come by their own accord. It's because of the challenges that they're having back home. So it is important for us to really look at them and see how we can help them because of a situation. I don't think they're just coming because of their own, due to their own accord. So talking to the importance and why should we care is very important. It may be another group, another year, it may be us moving somewhere. So it's something we need to really care. So you need to write that, why people should care. The other question you need to ask yourself is who else is involved, because donors are jittery of duplicating. You need to be able to say who is doing what, and for you, what are you doing uniquely? How are you contributing to that particular work? Say if you look at the example of the refugees, and what do you propose to do? So now that you've identified what the problem is, you've identified what the problem is, what do you propose to do? And when you're clear of what you propose to do, then you come up with a goal. This is what we aim to achieve. That's what we aim to achieve. And these are the objectives that are going to help us actually get to that goal. The content still goes ahead. So if you have now, you have your goal, you have your objectives that you're going to address, and objectives don't need to be many, because remember, you have objectives, and then under objectives, you have activities. So you don't want, unless you're really doing, even I can see the whole country, they have actions or interventions that they are going to implement, but there are certain core objectives or outcomes that they want to achieve. So don't have so many objectives which can actually pass as an activity, as an action that you can do to help you achieve that given objective. So within the objectives, there are strategies. What strategies are you going to use to achieve those objectives? What results? We already talked to results. This is where you have to, because this is your contract. You're being given money to produce, because you given money to produce certain results you said you would get. So you need to be concrete about the results that the project is going to realize for yourselves, for the community, and also for the funders. And then how are you going to measure? How will we know that we are actually in the right direction? How are you going to measure how success looks like? And so this speaks to your M&E. So your M&E within your concept note. How are you going to sustain? I will not talk so much about this because we already talked about sustainability. Everybody is comfortable to say, okay, we are funding, but this is how they intend to continue with this project. How much is it going to cost? What is the budget? So it can be top line or it can be more in depth because you have worked out the budget somewhere and you know top line, this is the amount of money I need, and this is how much time, so how much duration. If it's a project, it's time bound, so you need to also be clear how long is this project going to take. So we always have challenges. We want to say, promise to do so much, and yet we can say it's a 1-year project, then you promise things which need like 3 years to do. So being realistic and not too ambitious makes us, if we are too ambitious, then our project, somebody just reads and say like, no, this is not possible to do in 1 year. No, this one don't know what they are doing. Because to do this, you need like 5 or 3 years. So being realistic with what needs to be done within the timeline that is available, or the timeline that you say you're going to do the work. And then how is your project helping you address the donor priorities or the donor objectives? You should be able to articulate that and even mention it. This project will help you achieve your priorities of this and this, or your objectives of this and this. This is how it's going to do that. Because it is not them just giving you money for the sake of giving. They also want to meet certain priorities, certain objectives. How are you helping them to actually meet those objectives or their priorities? Sometimes we miss that link. And then if we miss it, then we are not in the sweet spot. We are operating outside. Only we are thinking about us, maybe, and sometimes we think so much about us and not even the community whom we purportedly think we are serving. Yeah, so the language that we use, making sure that we identify the real problem or the real needs that the community has, and that we have those interventions that are going to help the root cause and not the effects that we see above there. Okay, so this takes us to an example. I would have loved us to have a group work around this, but I can see we are like 10 minutes to 12:30, and I want to respect time, those who came early, and not to take so much of their time. So we can just do this example together and not necessarily do the group work that we wanted to do. Okay, let us say, let me just transfer this here. Let us say we have a youth project in Uganda, in East Africa. And again, we said, yes, we may have our projects. We know the problems very well, but my dear, people may not believe me when I say, oh, there's this problem. Somebody else also needs to back up, so that I have evidence to actually have authority to say, actually, this is the problem. So, and you can start from international level or global level, and then drill down, bring the story or bring the case back home to your locality, to your locality. So if you're talking, say, about seeing during COVID, they say, oh, in Europe and things like that, this is the number of population that have been vaccinated. Although in the poor countries, the penetration of vaccination has been very low, and yet these are the people who don't have the means and things like that. So there was vaccine inequality and all things like that. So people had reasons to say there was injustice in vaccine distribution, because they could see what is happening globally or in other countries, and then they see what is happening to those who should be getting the vaccine, but they are not getting. So they had the statistics to say that. Also, you in your project, why are you saying that there's a problem here? What shows? Can you compare with somewhere else? Or do you have the ideal situation, how it should look like? And now you're saying here there's a problem. So that speaks to statistics, evidence, and from authoritative sources. So don't just say, oh, I read in the newspaper and what. Sometimes the newspaper things are stories, and you might need some concrete data, and of course they would believe data may be generated by the government, or data be generated by authoritative institutions, maybe the UN agencies, the World Bank, the people who have written on a certain subject matter. But you could also have a story of people who have been affected by what you are saying. If they can come out and you document that story, then you can use it also as your basis. What I'm saying, don't just say things you alone, but make sure you have other people that back up what you're saying. So let's look at this example. Let's say, for example, if international statistics, poverty is anyone who earns 1.9 USD per person per day. Then you come to Uganda, you see the situation is worse, because it's not even 1.9, it's less than that. So the situation in Uganda is actually worse. Then you even go down and say the youth are actually even in deeper trouble, because they are dependents, they are unemployed, so their poverty level is even much higher. And why do you say so? You perhaps have evidence about the number of graduates who are graduating from the different institutions, how many are graduating on a yearly basis, and how many are getting employed. Perhaps the Uganda Investment Authority gives you that statistic, and then you also have maybe World Bank also saying the rate of unemployment, this percentage, 62.5%. So yeah, so the youth are really unemployed. They are among the people who are poor. Maybe even want to go and say by gender, it's even worse for the women and things like that. So you have things that are helping you build the case for your particular project. So we say, okay, who are our targets? We are youth. Why are they? Why? Because they have no jobs. Why don't they have jobs? Because we are trying to drill deep into the cause, not the effects. No jobs. Why? Why don't they have jobs? Oh, they lack skills and attitude. Why? So then we should say, okay, they lack the skills and attitude, and so they cannot really get employed. Then you can say, okay, then I can actually come up with an intervention to help them have the skill, and maybe also work on things to do with attitude. Then you want to appeal. We are just following our structure, which we are following our content. So why should we care about youth unemployment? This is something that we should be concerned about, because if there is high levels of unemployment or underemployment, there's going to be high crime rates. We can provide maybe statistics. We go to the police report, we see the statistics of crime, we see the statistics of addiction, we see information that is being brought. We're seeing a lot of mental health issues, low consumption, production. So basically the economy is not doing well, because we have a large category of people who should be employed who are not employed. Then, okay, if you now have this good background and you've documented this properly, then you can come and say, this is now what we proposed. So we can come up with a project with a goal to say, let us create jobs for, say, a certain number of youth in 3 years, because perhaps in the first, in 3 years, we're able to do something. Or it's just that we are doing a pilot in 3 years to see how it goes, and then we can scale based on if more funding is realized. And since we know that it's lack of skills, attitude, then we are going to design something about training or reskilling or providing entrepreneurial skills so that they have the skills to be employed or to even start their own jobs. Then, because we are saying they are graduating, and then you are again saying that they lack skills. So how? What is the mismatch? Perhaps there's issues to do with what they are learning and how what they are learning is translated into real working. So can we, for a long term, maybe advocate for curriculum enhancement? And since they are poor, you need to deal with the immediate needs, the livelihoods initiatives. So you can see that from this problem that you have identified, you can already look at some objectives of what you can actually do. You can do something to do with training, you can do curriculum, you can do livelihood. So there are clear things that you can do. And then you are very clear, maybe you're starting with Kampala because you're not going to start this project in the whole of Kampala, the whole of Uganda. You maybe want to start, and then you give the rationale. Why are you starting in Kampala and then building on? And then you are aligning it. This is the appeal. We are saying the sweet spot. You are saying, so the work that you're doing contributes to sustainable development goal 1, which is about no poverty. There is that one on equality, education 4. Then there is 8, which is decent work and economic growth. And then 10 is reducing inequalities and things like that. So the thing is, how are you relating what you're doing into what the donors also want to achieve with their money or with their resources? How is what you are doing connected to what the government of Uganda, for example, wants to do? What does the National Development Plan say? And so what you are doing, how is it contributing to that? So the donor SDGs, but the donors may be having specific objectives that they want to meet. How is your work helping them meet those priorities? Is it within your organizational strategic plan and things like that, so that it is quite clear that what you're doing, you're committed to it, it's something that you actually planned as an institution to do. Yeah, and then we move on to the results. So if you intervene in this way, you have your goal there, you have objectives that you can point out from here, you're clear about the locality, you see how you're connecting to the country needs, donor needs, it's within your organization, your commitment, maybe it is aligned, maybe this is where you even bring in, our mission is to do this, this and that. So everything is being aligned very well within what you're doing. And then this is what you promise. This is your contract with the the resource provider. So you're saying the results, what we are going to see, maybe reduction in crime rates, addiction, mental health issues. If you can provide statistics, please do that. If you know where you are and after your project, how you can lead to the reduction or whatever you're trying to do, maybe you're able to demonstrate that youth will live dignified lives as one of your results. Increase productivity, because now there are people who are employed, they have the skills, they are contributing to their community, family, society, even the country at large. You're increasing employment and people being employable by a certain percentage if you're able to articulate to that level. And then you're also thinking about sustainability and saying, okay, maybe you have a mechanism of those who benefit from the project giving back, or you're going to continue fundraising. We are going to collaborate with ongoing government projects, because through your 3-year project, you have been able to demonstrate clearly that this is something that can be implemented because you've tested it. So even in your design, you are talking to government, we're having this project. If it's successful, it's something that we want you, that you want to take up. And maybe there are some funders who want to even confirm, are you sure you're speaking to these people? Give us their recommendation letters to say that they are actually committed to this project and they are aware. Where's the MOU you have signed with those local governments to show that you're not just doing this in isolation? So you can really see that these are connected, and you're clear how long the project is going to take. You're clear about the money that you need for this kind of work. And you have the experience. So this would speak to your capacity as the organization. What are you able to do? What have you done in the past? Or whom are you collaborating with or partnering with in order to be able to actually deliver on that project that you intend to deliver on? Yeah, and ultimately you will see very happy youth, because you have skilled them, they are employed, and they are able to contribute to themselves, their communities, and also the country. And yeah, so in terms of recap, We've been able to go through what resource mobilization is, looking at the funding proposals, the types like the letter of inquiry, the letter of proposal, the concept note that we have covered in this section, and then the full proposal that I said, course that you can actually do and see that. Excuse me, there's a lot of noise coming in. So then the structure, what to include, and then we have been able to look at this example. So this is an example, but for you, you have the real thing that you're working at. And so looking at what we have been able to cover, how can you look at those projects that you have, convert them into concept notes, begin conversations with potential service providers, check in and see if it's something that they're willing to fund, and then you see how things go. Okay, so that's it. Let me see if there are questions coming here. What's a research question in research projects? So what is a research question? So it means that it's something perhaps you want to investigate. It's something that you want to find out about. So you start with a question. Say, we maybe would like to investigate or interrogate or whatever you want to do, and then use that to have a project around that particular area. So for research can actually use this. Yes, Michael. We're having echo from you. Yes, you're going to get the presentation. You're going to get these slides, and we will also share where we will put this on. I think we're going to put it on YouTube. We will share the link. We shall share the link so that you're able to go and rewatch this. Yeah, just check with IT how you can do that. But I just wanted to tell you about, as you prepare questions and comments that you have, I just wanted to tell you about other upcoming events that we have. Like I was saying, we were looking at the concept note writing, what we have covered, but we have a on-demand live online proposal writing course. So if you're interested, there's one coming up in April. So feel free to register yourself. It comes at a subsidized cost. So when you look at 500, it's not really the true value. It should be much more because it's a practical proposal writing course that we offer. And this is the link. So you can just copy this here and you'll be able to register for that course. Other things that we do and which are upcoming is a youth program. We always have mentorship for youth during holiday, and we have the Twins Day Out, which is the 9 to 12 years, where we take them through who they are, testing their dreams, making them focus. We need to build the leaders of tomorrow so that they are more focused. And then we have also the team. So this is happening on 23rd April. This is happening on 20, it should be 29th, a Friday, not a Saturday. So yeah. So if you're interested, there are also links that you can actually attend to. So yeah, and other things, I know you asked the research question. We have a recorded course on research grant writing at Udemy. It's appropriate not for academia, so you can also visit this link and go to Udemy, and you can go through a self-paced course on research grant writing in here. Otherwise, the online proposal writing course is this. Other services that we offer is proposal development, meaning we can write for you proposals and you pay us to do that for you as part of the services that we offer. In our leadership and communication, we are like, you saw the teams and things like that. We are really very interested in self-leadership. How can we lead ourselves effectively? So self-awareness is one thing, is great starting point. So we do self-awareness trainings, train people how to communicate better, personality assessment so that you understand who you are. And we use the Maxwell leadership resources to do that, and to do also our teams. Yeah, so yeah, and that's what we do. We will be super excited if you can help us, give us a review here. If you can do for us a review, it will really be helpful. And you just click that link and you will be able to give us a review of how this course went out for you. I'm just going to put it in the chat as well. And it should just be, if you can just do a review for us there. Let me see, it has gone to somebody. Yeah, if you click that link here, you will be able to give us review on our Google account so that other people can know what we do. Yeah, let me just see if it takes us there. But please welcome any questions, any comments that you'd like us to speak to right now. But from us, it's been a fantastic opportunity to have this session in partnership with C4G. Yeah, so that's where you would do your review. When you click that link, you're able to give us a quick review of how the course went for you and any other services that perhaps benefited from Magister Training Associates. Okay. Is there any questions in the chat that we may not have, that we may have missed out in the course of this training? Otherwise, I'm soon inviting you to also put up your video so that I can see you. You've seen me a lot. And perhaps we take a group picture.
Someone was asking something to do with a research question for research projects.
Yes.
Where does it usually come?
So where does it usually come? So you know there are projects, implementation projects, like a project that you're going to implement. But there are those who also do projects which they are researching about. They're like researching about researching about something. For example, I know one of my colleagues whose research, but her research is also connected to implementation, because she's researching something, but she's also implementing in the field to find out whether this is true. And her research is about how can we test to see whether peer support is something that is fundamental, is something that can be integrated into the mental health maybe treatment lines. How? Why so? Because they have seen in HIV, where there's peer support, it has been working. Can peer support also work in mental health? And by the way, I would agree with that. Her research has gone in advanced stages. It has tested, because she has been able to test it and it's working. So it's going to scale. But I was in the National Theatre on Sunday, where a former, like somebody who has been afflicted by mental health, was doing this Shakespeare, the Merchant of Venice, and it was acted in honor of him. He has been suffering with mental health for a long time, but he needed to do something that would make him happy, and then rally all of us who were there in National Theatre to create awareness on mental health and to say that we can actually support people with mental health so that we don't exclude them and what, because it is just like any other disease and any one of us can be prone to that. So now somebody has done a study on that. So there are those projects that you do, which is for implementation, like you get money and you implement a certain project, go and deliver things for refugees, or which can be training, which can be products or services, or you could have a question that you're researching on, and you may not necessarily implement until you find out the results and then start implementing. Or when we did this research, we found out that we can actually do things like this. So it's another way. So people in academic institutions, in research institutions, normally do research projects. Some of them have the implementation arm where they implement, but there are some which which don't have the implementation arm. Then I will go out there, look at data, analyze and things like that, and come up with recommendations and findings, which then other people can actually translate into a fully blown project, which you look for funding for. So, but the concept is the concept of how you can go about it is really the same, because you're trying to find out, you have certain questions, maybe you have a hypothesis that you're trying to test. Okay, but I know there are great researchers here. They could even explain to us a bit more. Those who have done research, who are working in research can also help us tell us how they have been able to manage their research projects. Okay.
Then the other person was asking whether also the academic credentials and experience is usually information needed by the funder.
John, I'm not sure if you.
Okay, so let me answer. Okay, he's coming in there to supplement. So I was asking whether academic credentials are important. So in some, they will ask you, like in universities, they will ask you for your academic credentials. What have you been able to do? And how do you demonstrate through the publications and things that the works that you've been able to do, maybe even other projects that you've been able to do. Even for projects like in the not-for-profit, you can demonstrate through the other grants or projects that you have been able to do. And sometimes they even ask for CV. We have seen funders who will ask for CVs for the key personnel. We want, there's this role, you describe the personnel in your project. You have maybe the chief of party, the deputy chief of party, they finance something and something. They want their CVs to see if they have the right qualifications, if they have the right experience to actually manage, say, a project of this type. But many of those things would actually be requested for within the proposal document. So the request for proposal. So you don't need to be worried, but it's very good practice to always have. This morning, before I started, somebody was asking me for my CV. Then I realized the CV was so long. Then it's like, oh, I had to send that long CV and another brief profile so that they can figure out what exactly they want. But it's just good practice to have your CVs and your profile and what you have done. Yes, Mr. Luanga, we can see you. Loud and clear. Speak to us.
Sure. I am not sure if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
John.
Yes.
Okay, that's very nice. I've been listening in. You cannot hear? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's very nice. I want to thank you. I'm assuming that we are done with the presentation. I want to thank you so much, John, for taking us through that presentation. I believe we have learned to write the concepts, and we look forward as an organization to many more trainings of this nature. We are really glad, and I want to thank all our staff, of course, in different places who have been listening in. We hope they have learned a thing or two. I also want to thank all the participants that have taken part in this activity. I noted we clocked 45 participants, and really that's a good turn-up. I want to thank everybody for really the love that they have shown us, and even for the ideas that have contributed to this conversation. We thank them so much. And they can always check out our websites for further organizations. I believe the websites have been shared. I shared those in the chats. We're also looking forward, Joan, to the presentation when it is shared on the different email addresses so that we can be able to follow up. We thank you, and indeed, thank you so much. It would be a good idea to take a picture, those that are still in. So we could perhaps turn on our cameras and take a picture, which we'll share with our other colleagues.
Yeah.
Thank you. The website has been shared in the chats, c4g.org, and also you can look at magisterassociates.com. Magister is written M-A-G-I-S-T-E-R associates.com. You find a lot of information there. I shared as well Joan's email address, joan.laroque joan@gmail.com. But even if you put Joan Larocque in Google, you find a lot of information about Joan.
Really?
So you don't have to worry about that. Yes,
there's a lot of information.
Yes.
Hey.
So they can always find you, including, of course, the Magister Associates. We thank you so much for the time, and just for information, Joan has given this purely pro bono, but we believe subsequently, one of us may be interested in further training. Please, you can always contact Joan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please
Thank
let's
you so
have.
much, Joan.
Hi, please put your videos and we see. Thank you, Isela, for attending.
And the assistant here.
Oh, we love to see the assistants. Yes.
Yes, Joan.
Yes. Thank you, Fatina, for the active participation. So we have missed the picture. People are not
Thank
putting
you
their
for the
videos
presentation too.
on. Yeah. Okay, so.
Put on your camera so you can take a group picture, which we shall share.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Joan. You've been richly blessed. May the good Lord surely bless you. I have had a good experience out of this.
Oh.
It is surely encouraging. It is a good test to me, and I'm ready to learn and to learn more. Thank you, Mr. Akram. Thank you, Mr. Luanga. We are surely blessed here. Thank you very much. I have to say, just thank you. I'm so blessed. Yeah.
Please leave us a review. Leave us a review in our review in Google, so that our names can become even more. Okay. Have yourself.
Did you take the picture, John?
Yes, I'm taking a screenshot, but not so many people's videos are on, so I will just have to share what I would have got. Yes, not so many pictures.
Well, I can see we are still 19 participants. If everybody turned on their camera, then we can take a screenshot.
Yes. Yeah, we can do a screenshot. Only we don't yet have very many people. Let me see, what is it? Okay, can we put on, we have now a good one. So if we can put up our cameras now, we will take a very good, because I have it now properly. Everybody has a little box there.
Okay.
Some people are camera shy. Okay. Okay, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for the time and for being here,
Thank you too.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much. Be blessed.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
See you
Luanda,
soon.
for preparing us for the conference.
Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you, Madam Chikuli. I think that was powerful. And thank you for attending this training. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I got the flag from one of the lecturers.